All right, we're here to break down a massive, and I mean massive, shift that's happening in B2B marketing. The playbook that's worked for years, well, AI is tearing it up right in front of our eyes. So, we're going to get into what's really going on and, more importantly, what you can do about it. Okay, let's just jump right to the heart of it. For what feels like forever, the B2B journey was super predictable, right? You'd search for something, click a link, and visit a website. Simple. But AI has completely shattered that. The new journey is just different. People are asking really complex questions, getting these comprehensive answers directly from an AI, and then moving straight to a decision. A lot of the time, they're not even bothering to visit your site. And look, this isn't some far off prediction. This is happening right now. A recent Forrester study just found that a staggering 90% of B2B buyers are already using generative AI at every single stage of their buying process. Just let that sink in. 9 out of 10 of your potential customers are turning to an AI for guidance. So what's the immediate fallout from a shift that big? Well, it's pretty profound. We are literally watching the end of web traffic as we know it. We're stepping into what people are calling the zero-click B2B world. So what's behind all this? It's a thing called zero-click search. You go to an AI tool like ChatGPT or Perplexity, you ask it a question, and it doesn't just give you a list of links. It synthesizes all the information out there and just gives you the answer. The whole reason to click through to your website is just evaporating. And this is no small trend either. Forrester is projecting that by the end of 2025, traffic from these AI-generated answers could replace 20% or even more of what we used to call organic traffic. I mean, that's a fundamental disruption to a model that marketing has relied on for decades. And here's the kicker. It means that if your marketing dashboards are still built around things like keyword rankings and page views, you're measuring a ghost. You're tracking metrics from a world that's quickly fading away, while the real action, the real decision-making, is happening somewhere else entirely. So if buyers aren't clicking, what in the world are they doing? Well, they're using AI as way more than just a search tool. It's basically evolved into their personal analyst, a trusted co-pilot that's with them for the entire buying journey. This forces every single B2B brand out there to ask a really fundamental question. Do you actually know how your different buyers are using these tools? Because I can promise you, the way an analyst uses AI is completely different from how an executive uses it. And this is where it gets really interesting. The role the AI plays changes completely depending on the context. You've got an analyst who's just starting out. For them, the AI is a virtual assistant, just fetching a list of suppliers. But for a manager who's evaluating options, suddenly the AI is a strategic advisor, comparing competitors. And for an executive at the finish line, it becomes a risk assessor, calculating the potential ROI. The AI literally changes its job based on who's asking. But you know what? There is a huge silver lining in all of this. Because while you might get less traffic overall, the visitors who do come from an AI, they are pure gold. They've already done their homework. They're asking these long, super specific questions. We're talking 15, 20, even 23 words long. And when they finally land on your site, they are 3 times more engaged. They're not just browsing anymore. They're there to validate a decision. Okay, so if the old SEO playbook is basically broken, what do you replace it with? Well, the answer is a complete strategic shift. It's a whole new discipline called Generative Engine Optimization. You have to completely rewire your brain for this. The old world of SEO was all about keywords, backlinks, and climbing up the rankings. This new world of GEO, it's all about entities, brands mentions, and being retrieved by the AI. Actually becoming part of the answer itself. So let's be super clear about what GEO is. It's the art and science of making sure your brand's content, your data, everything is so clear, so structured, and so authoritative that AI models don't just link to you, they trust you, they cite you, they weave you into the fabric of the answers they give. The whole goal is to become the answer. Okay, so that brings us to the really practical part. How do you actually build this kind of authority? How do you become the kind of source that an AI system just implicitly trusts and wants to reference? First things first, you've got to understand how an AI thinks about trust. It's not about intuition or feelings. It's just an algorithm. It's looking for signals. Things like how often your brand gets cited by other reputable sources, the overall reputation of your domain, and just the sheer number of brand mentions out there in relevant conversations. That old holy grail of a simple backlink, it's just not enough anymore. So here's your action plan. It really boils down to 3 key things. First, you need an entity-based strategy. Build deep, rich clusters of content around your brand, your experts, and your products. Second, you've got to use structured data like schema.org to literally label your content and tell the AI what it is. And third, you need to focus your PR efforts on earning mentions in sources that AI already sees as authoritative. And look, this strategy is not a one-size-fits-all deal. It has to be localized. Take a market like China, for example. The AI there gives huge weight to established, authoritative rankings. So the playbook gets even more specific. It means actively trying to get placed in things like the Haroon port, partnering with government-affiliated media, and building up expertise on platforms like Jihu. So now that you've got a new playbook, you also need a new way to keep score. I mean, if clicks and traffic are the wrong things to measure, what does the new scoreboard for success actually look like? Your marketing dashboard needs a complete overhaul. The new key metrics are things like how often is your brand mentioned in AI answers? How often are you cited as a source of truth? And maybe most important, what does that hyper-qualified traffic that AI sends you actually do once they get to your site? That's in-session engagement. At the end of the day, this entire massive paradigm shift, this whole new playbook, it can really be boiled down to this one powerful idea. Your goal isn't just to be the best link on the page anymore, it's to become the answer itself. Which leaves us with one last critical question to think about. In this new world that's being driven by AI, is your brand just another reference that gets listed, or is it the ruler of its category? The choice you make is going to define your future. Thanks for tuning in.